Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, Facebook have reversed its ban on news in Australia. The social media giant had stopped Australians sharing or reading news articles after the government introduced legislation that would have forced US tech giants to pay news outlets for their content. The two sides have come to an agreement, and Facebook is now negotiating deals with some of Australia's biggest publishers. All this is happening as Facebook faces ever more questions over its regulation and how the platform is used. To that end, it has set up a new Oversight board charged with ruling on whether Facebook's decision to remove posts is fair or not. Our business and global trade correspondent, Paul McNamara, has this report.
USA! USA!
Insurrection in an internet age.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength.
That message multiplied and amplified in the echo chambers of social media. And the very next day, Facebook took action, suspending the account of the former Facebooker-in-chief. Whether or not Donald Trump now gets back access to his 35 million followers is down to the 6-month-old Facebook Oversight Board. Deciding his fate is the biggest job yet for the board, which is funded by Facebook through an independent trust to the tune of $130 million. On it, 19 former politicians, journalists and academics, including the former Danish Prime Minister and ex-Guardian editor Alan Rusbridger, all picking up a reported 6-figure salary. They'll rule on select appeals against removed content or profiles. But what it won't do is examine Facebook's algorithms that promote content, any aspect of paid advertising on the site, or how Facebook uses data to target users.
Facebook knows it has a problem with content on many fronts. When a gunman entered a mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand, eventually killing 51 people, he live-streamed the start of the attack on Facebook. When Burmese authorities were accused of genocide against Rohingya Muslims, Facebook admitted it failed to prevent its platform being used to, quote, incite offline violence. And then there's democracy and the alleged threat this platform is to it.
Just last year, this programme revealed how millions of micro-targeted adverts were pumped out in the 2016 US election to deter black voters from casting ballots. Facebook has never disclosed the actual ads distributed from Donald Trump's page. Facebook also allowed the harvesting of private data from more than 50 million users by Cambridge Analytica, which led to this.
We didn't do enough to prevent these tools from being used for harm as well. And that goes for fake news, foreign interference in elections, and hate speech, as well as developers and data privacy.
Facebook says it's changed since 2016 and has 35,000 people working to ensure the integrity of the platform and, of course, the new Oversight Board. The real issues, though, say critics, are the ones the board has no power over.
What Facebook wants out of this is to give the public the impression that Facebook is subject to meaningful oversight, and it's not. Facebook's engineering decisions decide what content shows up at the top of people's news feeds. Its policies with respect to political advertising determine how closely targeted political ads can be. Those kinds of questions are decided by Facebook's engineering, not by questions of content moderation.
Tonight, Facebook unfriends Australia.
The latest fight for Facebook has been down under, today allowing news back on the site after a row with the Australian government over paying publishers for their stories. Facebook has always said it's simply a platform dedicated to free speech. Its reach and power, though, means policing it is a problem for politicians the world over.
Well, Canada's Prime Minister tonight announced that he would coordinate with the Australian government to ensure the revenues of web giants are shared more fairly. Earlier, I spoke to Helle Thorning-Schmidt, former Danish Prime Minister and co-chair of Facebook's Independent Oversight Board. And I began by asking her what power, if any, the board had over Facebook's decision to block news outlets in Australia.
I think it's very interesting to discuss the Australia case, but that is actually not what the Oversight Board does. What we do is to look at content moderation issues on Facebook and Instagram. And what we have seen until now is that all content moderation decisions get taken by the company itself. Ultimately, you could say Mark Zuckerberg, for the first time in history, these content moderation decisions has been taken by someone else, and this is the Oversight Board that I'm a member of.
Are you the solution to Facebook's problems, or can they hide behind your existence and carry on with their current business model?
I think it's super important to underline that the Oversight Board is not the solution to everything Facebook, and we say that very clearly. And the part of Facebook that the Oversight Board deals with is content moderation. We are independent of Facebook. We take decisions, and once we have taken decisions, Facebook have to follow those decisions.
But it's only things that Facebook has actually taken down.
For now, it is things that Facebook has taken down. Down the line, our scope will be wider, and that means there will be content that Facebook has left up, that a third party is not happy has been left up on the platform. And down the line, it will also be when whole accounts are being closed by Facebook.
Now, Donald Trump has obviously been taken off Facebook, and the board is deciding whether or not he can return. We've been advised by a member of the board that he's submitted a statement of appeal. When do you expect to reach a decision?
Well, what we have decided is that we're going to take this case. Facebook has asked us to look at this case. Obviously, it's a very high-profile case, but that is exactly why the Oversight Board was created in the first place, to take the most wide in cases that are of interest to a lot of people and also are very principled cases. So we're looking into this case. We have in all cases given ourselves 90 days to look at them. I know that sounds like a long time, but sometimes you need translation, you need experts from outside to help you. So we have 90 days. We're trying to do this case a little bit faster, but we're going through all the different processes. And one, I think, quite good thing about how we deal with these things is not only does Facebook have a statement about why they did what they did, the user can also put in their statement about their opinion. But a third thing that can happen is that we are open for public comments about this particular case. So we have also invited the public to comment on this, and I can tell you we've already received public comment in the thousands and thousands on this case. And of course, we will look through those public comments and make them part of our decision making.
And does 90 days take us up to, say, the middle of April?
I don't know what our starting date was, but it's about 2.5 months from now, yes.
From now, okay. Now, last year, we on this programme, Channel 4 News, we reported disturbing evidence of digital voter suppression, a campaign in which Black American voters were targeted with Facebook ads designed to deter them from voting. But Facebook has refused to release any of the ads or how those people were targeted. We'd love an Oversight Board investigation. Will you?
It's not our job to do that at all. I mean, so I think it's important to.
But this is very worrying. I mean, if you're an Oversight Board, advertising is within, I mean, the output of Facebook. And if a really damaging ad is suppressing voter intentions of Black people, that is clearly very serious.
Absolutely. I think it's extremely important to debate and get to the bottom of it and find out about that. What I can't promise you and your viewers is that because we have an Oversight Board, everything connected to Facebook will be solved. And I think that is so important to underline. I don't work for Facebook. I don't have to defend Facebook. I have in the past and also now debated certain policies of Facebook, and I'll continue to do so. What we are dealing with is content moderation.
But the truth of the matter is that advertising is a key element of the way in which Facebook is constructed. If that advertising is used to do something to a whole segment of society, Black people, suppress their votes, that surely is an absolutely devastatingly important issue, and one that anything that calls itself an oversight panel must investigate.
No, I think this is more a question for regulators, and it's important to say that having an Oversight Board doesn't mean that regulators don't have a role. What will happen down the line, whether we will have opinions on other issues than that, who knows? But until now, we have taken on a huge task.
I'm just wondering, I mean, what attracted you to the job? Because you very generously agreed to do this interview with me, and there's me asking you about things which you can't actually control. I mean, it's a bit of a bed of nails, isn't it? I mean, if you raise the Australia case, oh no, it's not something I can deal with, etc.
My wish, in the ideal world, this content moderation would be taken by a UN body, for example, a multilateral organization that could take these decisions. That is not within our realistic reach. So for me, this is the second best. And I consider it historic to be part of a board that for the first time in history, content moderation decisions are not taken by the companies who have their business model, who have to make money in a certain way. It is taken outside those companies.
Well, I described it as a bed of nails earlier. I'm just wondering how much you get paid for this bed of nails.
Well, this is not a full-time job. It's something that I do a couple of days a week, and we decide we're not going to reveal our salaries. So I'm not going to answer that, I'm afraid, John.
Well, you've answered a lot of other questions, so thank you very much indeed for talking to us. We're really grateful. Thank you very much indeed.
Take care, bye.